At a commencement ceremony at the University of Central Florida this graduation season, the speaker got booed. Not heckled, booed by thousands of people. Was that the right response? Was she wrong? Or is that room full of people reacting to something the rest of us should be paying closer attention to? Here is the context. Gloria Caulfield, a vice president at a real estate development firm, not a tech company, was invited to speak at UCF's graduating class of writers, artists, journalists, and designers. People who just spent 4 years and tens of thousands of dollars trying to do things that AI companies are now claiming their products can do better and faster. She told them that AI is the next industrial revolution, and she opened by praising Jeff Bezos and Howard Schultz as inspirational leaders, to a room full of humanities graduates. The crowd booed. She called their reaction bipolar. They cheered when she mentioned the time before AI existed, and she called that contradictory too. It was neither. It was completely consistent. They booed the future being sold to them and cheered the moment before the threat existed. That's not confusion. That is a room full of people who understand exactly what's at stake. Now, here's the thing that changes this from a bad speech story into something worth actually talking about. The same graduation season, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, gave a commencement speech about AI at Carnegie Mellon University. Standing ovation, ecstatic reception. Same technology, same message, completely opposite rooms. Because Carnegie Mellon graduates build AI. They see it as expanding what they can do. UCF's arts and humanities graduates see it as a direct threat to the thing they just spent years building their identity around. A software engineer named Sasser put it perfectly on Blue Sky. When you're inside the bubble, you think everybody else is, but everybody isn't. That is the split in the room. The Carnegie Mellon graduates are not inside the same bubble. They are building the thing that UCF graduates are afraid of. Same technology, same moment in history, completely different exposure to the same consequences. And that gap between who the disruption is working for and who it is working against is not unique to this graduation season. It is the same gap that has appeared at every major technological shift in history. And that gap and what you can do is what this video is about. So is AI the next industrial revolution? The British Industrial Revolution, roughly 1760 to 1840, was genuinely transformative. It gave us mechanized manufacturing, railways, urbanization, and eventually the modern world. That part is true. Here is the part that tends to get left out. Skilled weavers who had spent decades building their craft found it automated in less than 10 years. Not gradually, in a decade. The craft did not decline. It disappeared. And the people who had built their entire identities around it were given no transition plan, no safety net, and no map for what came next. And that was just one of many. What the history books call progress, the people living through it called displacement. Entire ways of life, artisanal, agriculture, community-based, were dismantled, not over centuries, but over years. This was not a gentle transition. It was a forced migration from one reality into another, and the people who survived it were not the ones who resisted the change. They were the ones who understood what the new system actually needed from humans and moved toward that before everyone else did. So, yes, AI is history repeating. But the question that nobody in that graduation hall was asking is the only question that actually matters. What did the people who survived actually do? Not the factory owners or the investors, the craftspeople, the skilled workers, the people who woke up one morning and found out that the thing they had spent years building their identity around had just been automated. I have a very specific answer to that question, because my family owns the physical monument to the last time a technology became obsolete overnight. The Titan I missile base, $1 billion, 2.5 years to build, 18 underground complexes across 5 states, each one the size of a city block, buried 5 stories underground, half a mile of tunnels, blast doors 3 feet thick, designed to survive a nuclear detonation and still launch. I grew up on one of them. I skipped through those tunnels as a child, climbed on the blast doors. It never fired a single missile. By the time it was operational, the engineers already knew it was obsolete. The liquid fuel requirement meant it needed 15 minutes to launch. In a nuclear arms race, 15 minutes is an eternity. The memo existed before they broke ground. They built it anyway. And then, in 1965, 3 years after it went operational, they walked out and tried to take the blast doors with them. Here's what actually happened to the engineers. They did not disappear. They did not spend the rest of their careers defending a system they knew was already dead. They took everything that they had learned, every problem they had solved, every failure they had documented, and every ability and capability they had built, and transferred it to the Minuteman program, the system that replaced the Titan I. The Titan I program was running early microchip technology before any civilian computer was. The thing they built that failed is part of why computing exists at all. The base my family owns, sitting in a field, is part of why you can watch this right now. That is not a coincidence. That is the structural pattern underneath every major technological displacement in history. The craftspeople who survived the Industrial Revolution were not the ones who fought the loom. They were the ones who understood what the loom needed from humans: quality judgment, design sense, creative direction, and moved toward that before everyone else did. The photographers who survived digital were not the ones who defended film. They were the ones who understood that what clients actually wanted was not the medium, it was the eye behind it. This pattern has been running for as long as humans have been building things under pressure. And right now, in 2026, it's running faster than it ever has before. The career you spent a decade building, is it answering the threat that actually exists today? Or are the skills you have spent years training already been Titan I'd? Most of us don't ask that question until the concrete is already dry. I've been caught up in this too. I spent 6 years and a significant amount of time and money on a degree I don't really use. For a long time, I framed that as a waste. Years of my life, a financial cost I felt for a long time. So let me tell you, I get that feeling. And what I wish someone had told me before the concrete dried on my own version of this is that this is not a personal failure. It's a structural pattern. It has happened to every generation before yours, and it will happen to every generation after. The engineers who built the Titan I didn't fail. They built with the best information they had at the time. And when the information changed, they moved. The question is not whether this happens. It's going to happen. It already is. The question is whether you can see it forming before the concrete dries, and whether you know what to build next. There are signs. There is always a memo. The engineers had one before they broke ground on the Titan I. You have one too. Most people just don't know how to read it. So let me show you how. I call this the Memo Protocol. 3 things. 1, find the memo. Every industry has one. It's not hidden, it's just uncomfortable. So most people perform not knowing. The information is sitting in the industry reports, in the think tank research, in the trade publications. It is findable. Most people just never go looking because looking means you might find something you have to act on. And booing is a lot easier. It feels really good in the moment, but it will not save you. Search your specific role or skill plus the words displaced by AI or skills gap 2026. Read what comes back without flinching. That is the memo. You cannot read it until you decide to look for it. Step 2, name your 15 minutes. The Titan I's fatal flaw was specific and nameable. 15 minutes to fuel. What is yours? What is the one thing about your current role that a faster, cheaper, more capable system is already solving? Not vaguely, specifically. Then ask what is left when that gets automated. That remainder is your value. Step 3, start the adoption curve now. New technology doesn't replace people who use it. It replaces people who don't. The loom didn't eliminate textile workers. It made hand weaving optional. Those people who learned to work with the loom, direct it, quality check it, design for it, built the next version of the industry. Spend 15 minutes today inside whatever tool is replacing your 15-minute vulnerability. Not to master it, just to start. I turned this memo protocol into a full workbook with the actual searches to run, the write-in fields for each step, and a decision framework for whether to stay, adapt, or move. It's free and it's linked in the description. The STEM graduates at Carnegie Mellon are not smarter than the arts graduates at UCF. They are just positioned differently relative to the technology. They see it as a tool they use, not a replacement for what they do. That positioning is learnable, but some of you watching this are already past that point. The thing you spent years building is sitting in a field and you know it. This next part is for you. Here is how you find the value in what you already built. I call it the Indirect Benefits Audit. Step 1. Name the effort honestly. The degree, the career, the skill set, the years. Write it down without judgment. Step 2. Name what it cost. Not just money, time, attention, energy, opportunity. The full ledger. Don't minimize it or inflate it. Just name it. Step 3. Name 3 things that could not exist without it. Not what it was designed to produce. What it actually built on the way. The judgment you developed. The taste you trained. The way of thinking that took you years to build that no system can replicate because it came from lived experience. The Titan One gave birth to the Minuteman. Your effort built something too. You just have to name it. Then recategorize the value. You're not asking if it was worth it. You're asking what it actually built. Those are completely different questions, and only one of them moves you forward. Here's what I know. I know what it looks like when a billion-dollar system gets locked up and abandoned, and the engineers who built it did not know it was going to produce the microchip. They just knew they had to move. So do you. The future you experience is going to depend significantly on what you notice in the system and how fast you move and adapt. What I know from standing in the thing they left behind is that the people who made it through the last version of this were not the ones who were spared the disruption. They were the ones who knew what to do with what they had already built. Every generation builds its Titan One. What got left in the field is what got all of us here. The students who booed were not wrong, but the debate that followed missed the point entirely. The question is not whether AI is the next industrial revolution. It probably is. The question nobody was asking in that hall is what the people who survived the last one actually did. Most of us are living inside systems we never agreed to and never fully understood. Systems that were built long before we arrived by governments, by institutions, by markets, by technologies that moved faster than anyone could track. The Titan One is one of them. The AI displacement wave is another one. And the obsolescence cycle running inside your career right now is one of them. But because you watched this video, you now have 2 things most people don't have. A way to find the memo before it finds you, and a way to find the value in what you already built, even when it didn't turn out the way you planned. Most people will never have either one. You do now. This channel exists to find those systems, to name them, to show you where they came from and how they actually work, and where the leverage points are. The places where what you do next actually changes what happens to you. So if you want to see what one of the bases actually looks like from the inside, the tunnels, the blast doors, the launch silos, I have a full tour of it. It's linked in the description. That is where this all started.